You ready to rock?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Well, what is going on, everybody? It's your girl Pam with 2200 taps. Yo. So here's the deal. My guests, I don't know who I'm going to bring on. Well, I have an idea, but sometimes I just get a random person I have such energy for, and I just need to get them on like pretty quickly. That is my guest today. My guest today is a pretty rad dude. I met him at the Adaptive Training Foundation, which we probably will get into a little bit. He got his ass kicked, which was amazing. And he got to grow, which was even really cool to have front row seats to that. His name is Eric Rush. He's the founder and CEO of Prime Pitch Podcast Network, Incorporated, based out of Frisco, Texas. He's also a Bronze Star decorated combat veteran, a builder, a storyteller, and again, the founder of that network. And yes, I read that verbatim off of his website because I didn't want to mess that one up. But Eric, dude, thank you so much for being here. I am stoked for this one. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but let's see what happens. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. See that astronaut right there? That's where we're
Yeah,
going. We're going. We're going to
we're
do
gonna go
some.
to space.
Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to launch into the rockets.
Dang, we might have to go to hell just a little bit just to get back up there. How about
That's why
that?
that fireplace is there.
Are you serious? Man, for those that can't
Uh,
see, he's got a fireplace and above is a picture of an astronaut and an American flag. Oh, I see what you did. The metaphor on your wall. I
yeah,
see it. I didn't even
we're
notice that.
about exploring. This is my podcast setup, my podcast studio that I shoot out of, and everything in this studio has some meaning and intention. And yeah,
That's better than mine. I had AI decorate this office, so hopefully we can get it decorated to that image. Oh, dude, that picture looks so amazing, and my office does not. So hopefully it'll get changed at some point. But yeah, man, thanks for being here. And real quick, I met you. How long has it been since you've gone through ATF? The good ATF?
about a month, maybe
Is
three
it
weeks, something like
really?
maybe. Yeah,
About a month, I think. I think
yeah,
it's, oh yeah, because new classes in week 3. It's been about a month.
yeah.
So before we get into your story, I'd like to just highlight some of that because you had some really cool growth. Um, it was a 2-day, week-long training. You got your ass kicked, your entire class did really. But I'd like to just kind of pick your brain for a moment about what that was like for you. Maybe a little bit about Carry the Load that we just did, and we're gonna dive into your story. How's that sound?
Sounds fantastic. Awesome.
Cool. Well, how did you hear about ATF?
Well, I'm an ambassador for an organization called Air Power Foundation, and Air Power Foundation is a kind of a resource hub
Mm.
for veterans. And I received a phone call from a friend of mine um, on a Saturday for I wasn't expecting this phone call, so I wasn't prepared to know what I was committing to when he asked me if I wanted to. And he works with Air Power Foundation too, and he said, Rush. Adaptive Training Foundation is hosting this hyper training program. Would you be interested? I didn't know all the details. I didn't know what I was getting myself to, but I like the idea of hyper training. I know it meant something, I know it meant something real and solid. And at the time, I had just had last year. I had two full hip replacement surgeries. So I have not, and before that, I was like peak physical form, I believe, and so I had to get those surgeries and then everything started collapsing. Just my whole being, physical energy, and everything just started going a different direction. So when I received that phone call, it was like let's say God's time is always perfect, and
Mm.
when that phone rings and asks you if you want to get into something, you get into something,
Oh,
and
you got into something, that's for sure.
yeah. So, the opportunity to say yes to to say yes to the opportunity was there, and I said yes, and I said we'll fuck around and find out, basically. And
That's
yeah,
the way to look at it.
yeah. And I said we'll fuck around and find out, and that's exactly what happened. It was a tremendous blessing that my affiliation with Air Power Foundation spawned this opportunity, and then of course working with you as my coach and during that whole process was a tremendous blessing, and yeah, it was just one of those things that it was timely for me to where they say when you go through a series of, I guess, people call it traumatic, it was a traumatic you go through trauma in your operation and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I didn't see it that way, but I could sense, I felt that way when I was when I was training with y'all. I could say, okay, now I see what's going on here. And so the
Hmm.
mind body spirit connection was really missing. And the doctors don't, they tell you what you shouldn't do, but they don't tell you what you can do, and so yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? Doctors, they're human,
Yeah.
and they're not God. And that's why I love ATF, because it's like, well, let's go see, let's go figure it out in a safe, controlled environment where we can MacGyver things so that you can, like you specifically, you were able to. I remember watching you when you had that shift, when you made that mind body connection. And as with any human being walking on this earth, if we lose that, we literally lose ourselves. But when you can reconnect it, it's so powerful. And I saw that in you, and I'm so pumped and proud of you. And it was an honor to be like your trainer. That is a really cool week to watch that. And
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was really cool too. It was like, it was super necessary, as Jorge Masvidal says, it's super necessary, bro. Like, it was super necessary for me to be a part of the experience. And yeah, it helped me tremendously, for sure.
I love that. Well, that's the Adaptive Training Foundation, guys. It's not the other ATF. This is the good ATF. Go check them out, adaptivetrainingfoundation.org. And then also, you just had the opportunity to join us, our tribe, because you're part of it now. Um, I carry the load here in Dallas. What was that like for you? What did that mean to you? Was that your first one? Have you been there before? I'm just curious.
Yeah, but let me rewind for a second. I want to just say it's a thank you. It's a thank you for having me on your podcast. I have
Ah, of course.
tremendous respect and admiration for who you are and what you represent in the veteran community and just
Appreciate that.
in a community as a whole. So to be a part of your podcast, I love your energy and your spirit and your mana and well, your just
My
everything,
mana.
your mana, yeah, and your corazon and all, you name it, and all.
And I understand all of that. I'm Mexican. I get it.
There you go. There you go. So
I
it's a
appreciate that.
tremendous honor to be on your podcast. But
Thank you. Thank
to
you.
answer your question, uh, you know, one of the things, having I have a podcast myself. It's called Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life
Hmm.
missions. And, I've been hosting that podcast for about 7 years now. And throughout my journey, I thought that, just offering people a platform, people to sit next to me, or sit in the space was just the thing. Like, I'm just giving them a vehicle. But somewhere along the line, I started learning about what veteran advocacy was. When you get nonprofit organizations and stuff like that on. So a couple of years ago, I had a Gold Star mom on my podcast, and and she had lost her son. His name is PJ Stock, and her name is Carla Wicks, and she was on my podcast talking about her son, and she gave me one of her challenge coins, his challenge
Hmm.
coins, and it's always been beside me at my bedside, like, for a long time. And the reality is, listen, this is so amazing. This is the omnipotent experience of Christ bringing us all together in a certain way. Air Power Foundation, Adaptive Training Foundation, right? Carry the load,
One tribe, all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was just like the perfect trinity of things, right? The perfect triangulation of pulling me in to a space where I needed to be. And y'all were promoting Carry the Load, and that small still voice of Christ just put the Gold Star moms that I've been connected with into my heart. And it became it was the very first time that I actually I had realized that the weight of Memorial Day. And you go through this, you go through your own journey, and you've seen what you've seen being deployed and having to go through that traumatic experience, and you lose people along the way. But this was one of those moments where it just like you don't know how to handle Memorial Day, so you just kind of discount it, or even Veterans Day, and you don't need it, right? But you do need it, and and so being y'all were promoting it, and I said, I swear, it just said, you're going, you're gonna go, and you're gonna go represent PJ Stock, and there's another Gold Star mom. His name is Joey Lenz, and that took me there. And one of the most beautiful things about being there was that well, as when I got deployed and I came back from home, I wasn't the same person, and I was married. I had gotten married before I left, like a dumbass. You put emotional weight on you.
Were you an E3 by chance? Were you one of
Yeah,
those?
I was like, I fell in love, and it was like
Yeah.
she asked me to marry her, and I said, let's do this.
Oh, the benefits. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Mm,
I'll say it like this, like we I got married, and then I got divorced. So I had never walked through that journey with anybody, but to have my wife there
yeah.
alongside with me, and now we have a legacy that we're gonna honor now, and on Memorial Day, we're gonna carry the load every Memorial Day from this day forward, and it's amazing,
I
amazing.
love that. I love it. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's it rained on us this year, which was great. I'd rather that than the heat that we've had previous years. But for those that don't know about Carry the Load, it was founded by Clint Bruce and another Navy SEAL, both Navy SEAls. He was just getting tired of people forgetting the true meaning of Memorial Day. And he went for a walk, literally carrying a rucksack and sitting down. And some guy's like, "Who are you carrying?" And this stemmed about 16 years ago now. And yeah, it's the true meaning of Memorial Day, honoring those we've lost, whether in action or post or whatnot. We do have first responders on the trail because we're going to remember them. And honestly, a lot of first responders are veterans.
Yeah.
Um, and the parents come, the families come, and there's poster boards with their pictures and stories along the trail, so you get to really honor them and just take it in, man. It's hard. I'm glad y'all were there. It's one thing to see it online, but it's another thing to actually be there and just watch and be there and take it in.
Yeah, a big part too is just to actually I just shut it off, like
Yeah.
you're one of those guys that, like, I don't need this, I don't need, and but this one spoke to my heart. It showed me that a level of maturity in my veterans, in the veteran advocacy space, that I've reached,
Yeah.
and be there. And actually that morning, it was what would happen was, when I signed up for Carry the Load, Carla Wicks sent me a message, and I'll show you. If you don't mind, I share this with
Sure.
you. And this is something I shared a few minutes on my Facebook page too. I received a message from Carla Wicks inviting me to go to church with her that morning on Sunday, to come and so that we could take pictures with her. There was a whole display of 16 other individuals that lost their lives,
Mm.
serving our country. And and my first answer was, I don't think I can make it. And that's that mentality where you go, like, I knew I could make it, but the habit self, the flaky side came out for a minute. And maybe a couple hours later, I went back and read that message again. I said, Carla, we're going to be there. And we went down there, and I got to meet other Gold Star moms, and got to take the picture, got to meet a chaplain for the in the Air Force. And it just turned into something really magnificent. And for me to
Mm.
really to go there, and to say, you know what, dude, you're going. It was just like one of those things. Like, I have a podcast and stuff like that, but I always felt like I was, in some ways, I was woodworking a little bit. And it means you might think that's in the front, you're in the front, and maybe you are in a certain way, but in another way, you're like, now that you have all this information of that you have hosts, you have guests on, what are you going to do with that information? How are you going to?
Hmm.
And so being able to go and honor Carla's mom, Carla, and his and the sons of these Gold Star parents was one of those extra steps that
Mm.
I had to take, and I'll probably take it for the rest of my life, for
I'm
sure.
glad. I'm as scared as you probably were. I'm glad you leaned into that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, because and not to share this veteran story, but we had a veteran in the class last week, realizing like what the hell we're about to do. And this veteran has never done anything for Memorial Day. Matter of fact, this veteran isolated.
Mm,
So this veteran fell apart, and I'm being very general because I'm not going to give away anything on this class or who it is.
yeah.
Completely fell apart.
Mm,
And we were there and we allowed this veteran to feel it, to acknowledge it, breathe through it, ask those hard questions. And once they were able to be honest with themselves, dude, the light on their face, they were able to breathe so much better.
yeah.
They were lighter and they were like, I'm worthy. I'm
Mm,
free.
yeah.
And this veteran showed up, did it, and has her kind of gave it away. This veteran's attitude completely changed, and it was really cool. It was really cool to see that. So,
That that's beautiful. And I was that guy too. I didn't feel like I was worthy and I didn't feel like I fit in, and I didn't feel like a lot of other things too. I was ashamed and guilt and all that stuff, because what I went through after coming back home, and and so yeah, so I empathize with that person, and I'm so happy that that person saw the light and had a breakthrough. And with you, it's only because y'all were there, like you were, she was present. No, credit to her being present in that moment with you all, like to be present is like the first step, right? And then the second step is having the next people who are there to support and encourage you. And oh, that's what I love about y'all. I'm going to be loyal to the day I die with Adaptive Training Foundation now that I'm part of it. Even so, I was a fan of y'all way before I even got involved with the hyper training for sure.
well, welcome aboard, amigo. You're one of us, man. There's no getting away anymore. So,
I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful for you. Well, I'll tell you what, let's dive in. I think we have a really good segue going into your story. We're all kind of mushy and vulnerable right now. So, little birdie told me, or I heard, you're from San Antonio, Texas originally.
Yes,
Were you born there, or are you just from there?
yes. I was born there, born and raised.
Okay, born and
All my family was in San
raised.
Antonio. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Antonio. Yeah, I have a amazing. I have four brothers, a total of four of us as a whole, and yeah, and they're up there, and they never left home. I'm the guy that yeah, I'm the one that enlisted in the army without my family knowing. I was the one that like said, "Let's go," and and yeah,
Yeah, well, I want to get to that. I listened in. I try to do my homework before I interview guys, and the one interview I heard with you, you were talking about your upbringing, and it was pretty shitty, for lack of better terms, and ultimately led you to enlisting. But that childhood, what was it about that childhood that was just so bad that may have been the tipping point where it was like you had to go this way or that way, and you went this way.
I ran. I
Different.
ran.
That's
I went.
common though. People don't realize how common that is.
Yeah, of course, yeah, 100%. See, here's the thing. I always say that I was, I didn't, I wasn't raised. I was raised in survival. I was born into brokenness,
Hmm.
and then of course I kept breaking things in my life. But the most important thing, I was in survival training. I was I was a byproduct of a single parent home. My parents were married for 5 years, and I was 5 years old when they split up. And my dad went his way, and he had other interests in another space and time, but love him to death. Um, but the separation, my mom took on more than she could possibly handle with my two brother, both my brother and I, and it was like there was no time for bedtime stories and general affection when the rent was due, and the rent was due, and there was no refrigerator, there was no food in the refrigerator, and
Yeah.
so survival was the way I grew up in trying to navigate through a system that didn't have time for gentle affection. I thought love was a liability, and that that I was destined to that I was destined to lose anyways. So yeah.
So without going into detail, we don't have to if you don't want to,
Yeah.
but was
Yeah.
it based was the dysfunction based on more abuse or just the emotional just they don't have it or it was conditional? It sounds like the love was conditional. Now I know your mom worked multiple jobs to put food on the table,
Yeah.
but as a little boy back then who I mean a dad, the role of dad for a boy is pretty vital, let
Yeah.
alone the role of a mom for a young man or a girl, you know? What what did that look like in the house that made it so just because and you know within reason or however deep you want to share because some of the
Well,
listeners I would imagine like well what was it just they just weren't capable of loving or was it just like hey was this my shit too so that's why I was asking that's all.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, ask away. Yeah, like for me, like having now, the wisdom I have with regards to, like I have more understanding and compassion over their own decision making. Right? It's like they were teen parents, right? They
Mm-hmm.
barely had any identity themselves, right?
Get
And
it.
and so when you are having kids, you're having kids at that age. Well, and you haven't even formed your own identity, and you don't have the spiritual, uh, the emotional maturity to raise children. Then what ends up happening is your kids becoming emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually malnourished. And for me, that's was the and being in a single parent home with my mom, she could only spin so many plates, so
Yeah.
something was going to break. And I think I was, what do they call them, um, some of the whatever, when you the wreckage of that, that I became some of the
Like the
shattered.
collateral, yeah.
Yeah, the collateral damage. Yeah, the
Yeah,
collateral damage of that. And so that's pretty much, I would say, that was probably at that time in my life, that was the centerpiece of everything for sure. And then
dude.
it got worse.
You know what's crazy? Like we don't know each other's stories. That's why I love this. My parents, my mom was 16 when she had me, and
Mm.
my dad was 18. And dad wasn't really around, but my mom somehow, hang on, I'm popping here. What the hell is that? What's that pop? There it is. Sorry, guys. My listeners are just gonna deal with that. Uh, yeah, but my mom somehow figured it out with my grandparents. You know, it's a wild upbringing myself, so I'm really empathizing with you right now. I get that,
Yeah.
um, to an extent, but I got
Yeah.
you. I got
Yeah.
you.
The other thing too is, like, my dad was, he was probably, my mom probably fell in love with a man that maybe promised all these things but couldn't deliver all of them because he didn't
Mm,
have an identity either. So,
fair.
that goes without saying. And he needed to grow up and mature, and whatever that looked like, he was
Yeah.
still a party animal, and all that kind of stuff. So my
Well,
relationship with my father was more like a, a drinking buddy, I would say, for a good part of my life, for sure. And yeah, so
well,
for me, I think during those ages, you start getting bitter, and not only that, my relationship with my mother and father was very toxic, really, from my, a Hispanic woman who's been, scorned, is like, it's like, it's like, you're like, yeah, you're talking about, habanero rubbed all over your eyes, it's like, and
yeah.
yeah.
If y'all have not grown up in a Hispanic household, just go spend the night with your Hispanic friend at their grandmother's house and watch what happens.
She hated my
Bananas.
dad, and I think that was the biggest.
Oh,
Yeah, she just would bag on him. So I grew up
yeah.
a little bit embittered about her having to doing that. But and also, like, it's like she put this protective shield with her in her life. So it was like she never gave anybody an opportunity to love her back.
Hmm.
So she put a big wall up and put barricaded herself in it. And so my brother and I didn't get to see what her allowing herself to be loved by somebody else would have done for her, and so we didn't get to see that even after that, after they divorced. I don't even
So,
remember being together
so,
for that.
so because of her upbringing, trauma, whatever it is that she was struggling with, she guarded her heart at the expense of her own kids.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's tough, dude.
Yeah,
God.
And the thing is, she grew up in a very nuclear family, So I think part of that's part of the anger that she had, the animosity towards my
Hmm.
father. She was in love with my dad for sure, but of course they were young and didn't think it all the way through, and that's a byproduct of that decision making.
But
Yeah,
wow, I get
yeah,
that. Wow. Too many similarities, amigo.
yeah. I knew that when
Mm-mm.
we met too. I said, man, we got a lot in common, So yeah.
Yeah, except mine wasn't my mom, it was my grandma.
Mm.
And whoo, you you pissed off that Hispanic woman.
Yeah.
Like she would start cursing you out in Spanish. Like
Mm.
we used to make fun of her and call it the Benavida Spanish. Oh my God. And to my grandpa, like she loved him, but
Yeah.
World War III was definitely in the house. Um, I get that. So growing up in that, getting bitter, feeling angry, not dealing with all that. How did that land you in the recruiter's office for the Army?
Well, first I was gonna join the Marines, and what ended up happening was my recruiter for the Marines ended up getting arrested for
Oh,
yeah he had conspired to him and his wife had this whole setup a plan where he he held up a he him and his wife held up a bank. Like his wife worked at a bank, and then he went and held her up like at the bank and took all the money and buried it in the backyard and all this stuff. So
wow.
anyway, so that changed everything. And so, but honestly, what happened was is I really needed a father figure. That's what I that
Yeah.
was one of the reasons. But the other reason was because I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to college, and I knew that the only way to do that was to enlist in. And it's weird. It's so strange that I had that mindset at that time because I'm the only one in my family with a college education with multiple degrees in my life and in our or a college like a degree. So for me, and recently my nephew just graduated, so he's the second rush to have a college education in our family bloodline. So, to have that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but so I enlisted to find identity but no, to have structure and to go to school and a father figure. That was the main reason. Um, and yeah, you know, I wish I had known at the time. Like, I still had a lot of unresolved issues, in my family life that needed to be, you know. I think when kids when you're in that state of mind or you grow up in that kind of a space, it's like you, if you go if you have unresolved issues, it can be it can flip a switch that you don't, like because you're already born and raised in conflict and trauma and conflict, and just so happened that I landed perfectly into Desert Storm, Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and then we got deployed, and that was like I took all that, man. I'll tell you how bad it was. We got deployed, and my mom and I got into it the as we were getting ready to get on the plane to head to to Iraq or Kuwait or one of those places, right? And
Hmm.
we got into it real bad, like real bad. Like it was so crazy because the bus was certain at one area. My dad was standing next to the bus. My mom was way further away, and like further away. I said, "Mom, can we get closer to the bus?" And she just did not want to be around my father. She said, "I'm not going over there. Your dad, I'm not going over there." I said, "Mom, please, just I'm getting ready to go to fucking war. God damn it. Like, what the fuck's your fucking problem?" And dude, I went on that, I got on that bus, like everything in me was just so fucking angry because she would not do it. And she actually said, if you don't, if you don't like it, I'll leave. And dude, like that like that tipped me over. And so I went with such anger in my heart. And that was one of those moments where I was like, the brokenness is no matter what. Like if you don't come home, if you come home, you're going to come back to this same brokenness. You hope you don't come back to it, but you're going to walk back into this toxic environment.
Hmm.
And but yeah, so I went in there and I was sick for that, but along with everything else, being in that intense, um, experience where people's lives are falling apart around you. You see it. Everything around you, the mistrust, the deception, the manipulation of the people you love and by the
Hmm.
love, the robbery of your bank account.
Well, and that's the thing. You guys are overseas and you can't, it's not like you can just go home and fix it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to stay there for as long as your orders are, do
yep,
your job, pray to God you can make it through and get your ass home
yeah,
just to
yeah.
find yourself like with nothing.
Yeah, when you sit there and you get that letter that, or you like, not me personally. See, that was the thing is when I was out there, like all the things that shit that was happening around me started to fuck with my head, right? It just
Yeah.
started with my head big time. Like, what's your wife doing? Where's she at? Where's she at 3 o'clock in the morning? Where's she at? Because well, this Gonzalez over here, his wife just mom went to his apartment and some other guy answers the door of his apartment, is driving his Jeep, and his money's all gone in his in his bank account because
Yeah.
she his wife's having an affair with somebody else. You just like that shit, that loves the relational stress in that, is so it was tough. And I had so many out like rage moments being deployed, like yelling at my ex-wife at the time, or my ex-wife, for no fucking reason except that I was all that shit was going in my head.
Hmm. You're
Yeah.
believing all that.
That it was happening to me. And this Latino strong, like, you're not gonna fuck with me, you're not gonna fucking take advantage of me, you're not gonna fucking cheat on me. I'm over here in the fucking desert. If you're gonna cheat on me, you're gonna fucking cheat on me. You know what I mean? You're not gonna, you can't do shit about it, man. And
Dude,
my
you
yeah.
you said pardon my French when I say this. You sound like an asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you like I don't get it, but I get it. I don't get it because I wasn't deployed overseas. My deployment was stateside. And
Yeah.
even I don't even count that as a deployment, and someone's like, that's a deployment.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I guess, but anyhow,
Yeah.
but uh, you got to worry about your job. You got to worry about staying alive overseas,
Yeah.
let alone deal with shit back home.
That too. Yeah. You're doing it
I,
all. It's
and and
all of the above.
and then you have all this shit that you grew up with, and you've never really
Mm.
tapped into a way to get it out in a healthy way yet. I would imagine. Didn't sound like it.
Yeah, no, no. Actually, I didn't know how to handle that shit. Like,
So yeah,
I didn't know how to handle it. And like I said, it's one of those things that it's a fluid. It's a all the. It's not. It's your surroundings. It's the bomb going
everything.
off. It's doing guard on a bunker, doing guard on the rooftop somewhere. Like you when you're in that situation and your life's your personal life is unraveling in front of you. That's even twice. That's even worse. Because you got to come home to that shit. And
Well, yeah.
yeah, but my wife at the time just was like, she didn't know what the hell was happening to me, but she knew shit was happening to me. Like I was the life of the party. I was like the guy that all the fucking guys, in my platoon and battalion wanted to fucking hang out with me. I was like, dude, Rush, we're gonna go out, we're gonna go party. I was that guy, and I just shut
You,
down. I was, but yeah, and I got lost in the dark, I just became numb, and yeah,
so with you, how many deployments do you have? One, two,
one
one
for a year. Yeah.
and then you came home. Did you get out shortly after, or did you finish out your contract and then you got out?
Well, yeah, my original thing was 6 years, and
Mm,
it was two IRR,
got it.
and but for me, life had to keep moving forward, and my life was starting to unravel around me. That was the big part. Is I had the more worries about my life falling apart than being in the service.
Mm.
And especially after I came back, like everyone was afraid of me. I was scared of myself, and I was hurting people, hurting people, and you know I think the hardest part is you have to save you're trying hard, but you don't know what's going on with you at the time. For me, especially when I came home, my wife was, we tried. I was happy to be home. I was happy to love her, but everything in me was happening in the head was just not working. I
Mm.
was not that same guy she fell in love with. And yeah, 30 days, maybe 45 days after we were divorced. And that just took me to a whole nother level. Um, yeah,
So after the divorce, man, you had 2 years IRR.
yeah, 2 years. Well, yeah, if I
I
was, yeah,
Yeah, I had one.
okay,
So I did nine active, two reserves, and then my last year, so it's really 12 years I almost did,
mm,
was IRR, so it didn't really count.
okay,
Um, but that's when I spiraled.
yeah,
This shit, keep going, amigo.
yeah,
So 30 or 45 days after the divorce,
yeah.
what happened? I mean, that was just
I mean, um, for me, I just got numb. Like
hmm,
I was trying to find solutions. Okay, you remember I said at the beginning of this that my I was like more like a drinking buddy to my dad. When I was a little kid, I would go to the bars with my dad and sit down with him, like when I was 12 years old, and just watch him get shit faced drunk with his friends. And I loved it.
mm,
I loved him hanging out with his friends. I loved the camaraderie he had with all his all the people in the bar, and people loved him. He was the life of the party. And I really wanted that kind of camaraderie around me, and that's what I did for a while. But when I came back home, I was self isolating. I was self isolating, turning to coping mechanisms that weren't healthy for me. And in the first 2 years of coming back, I got multiple DUIs, and then 3 years, the fourth year, I got another DUI and a drug possession charged, and then that's when I got sent to prison.
so you
Yeah,
got sent to prison because of the cumulative DUIs and the drug possession.
one was a DUI with a drug possession charge, and like it was a drug possession. Like there was
That was
small.
yeah.
It was just if
You
you
don't
if
go to prison for a small drug possession,
it was
amigo.
small. Like I'm telling you, man, if I told you how small it was, you'd be like, "What?" Yeah, the cop pulled me over, and I got pulled over for DUI, and then he checked my wallet, and I just had this very small thing, a flake of cocaine in it, and that was it. It was like
But so was it mostly
it was
because of the Deweys, the
well,
cumulative
and the
Deweys?
but when I had two felonies stacked up on each other, then I was like, okay,
That's so
you know,
weird.
yeah, it was so not,
That's so weird.
if that happened today, it'd probably be different, but back then it happened the way it happened.
Ah, fuck. So you you go to prison.
Yeah,
Um, Not even, yeah. How was that?
yeah, no, it was
Was
it
that
happened
vacation?
really, it was really it happened really fast, and I
Yeah.
think and there was in between that there was a suicide attempt. There was a like I came home to the same toxicity that I had
Yeah.
left. And I remember calling my dad, and I was like, Dad, we need to sit down and talk. God rest his soul. My dad passed away 2 years ago. I love him. I love him to death. We're not, I don't want to speak poorly of him at all.
For sure, yeah.
It's just it is what it is. Like, but I called him and said, Dad, I need to talk to you. Like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And he said, well, come meet me at this bar. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I'm in the bar, like having this whole breakdown. And um, so we start drinking, and of course, and then you say, "Okay, Dad, I'll see you later," and you're drunk now, so you're not in your right mind, you know. So I go to CVS and I buy me all these NyQuil gel caplets, and I take the whole bottle, swallow them, and then I drive to my mom's house, and I said, "Mom, I'm coming home." And then I fell on the ground when I came in, and I was dying on the floor. And you know, like I said, I think my parents at that time were all about self-preservation, trying to, you know, just trying to get their lives in order, and trying to make just enough for themselves, and I think they got stuck there, where it's like you can get stuck there if you're just, trying to just make for yourself. when your kids have been discounted or not discounted, but just neglected, is a fair way to say it. So they got stuck in themselves. And I remember my mom yelling this yelling at me while I was on the ground. And I was like, honestly, I was like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I'm going to die here. Like, I'll be honest with you. I was like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I'm going to die here right in front of you. You want to call me, you want to call me all these names? Like, you want to call me I'm dumb and how stupid? How could you do something so stupid? I was like, you ain't getting it, girl. Like, what are you going to do? You know, like it was that one of those come to Jesus moments where my mom either stopped yelling and she either keeps yelling and it just happens, or she picks up that phone and calls 911 and helps save my life, you know? And that's exactly what happened. It got quiet. Like it was just ominous quiet. And then she picked up the phone and called 911. And then I blacked out. And then they came and resuscitated me and everything. And, there's nothing worse. There's nothing more shameful in that moment when I woke up in the hospital bed. I was having all these panic attacks in the hospital. And um, I there was a moment in the hospital where I actually went to the like I had to use a restroom. It was like a couple of days later, and I had not seen myself in a couple of days. And what ended up happening is I had blown all the blood vessels in my face were busted from the lack of oxygen, and my eyes were all like purple inside. The white was purple, this purple, everything was purple, dark purple too. And I looked in that mirror and I was like, what the fuck did you just do, man? Like, what the fuck did you just do to yourself? And I swear it was like that it was something so demonic when I looked in that mirror. It was so like I like my eyes like they fluttered real fast when you see something really, or something startles you. It was like that. I was like, dude. I was like, oh shit. I was like, and I realized that I had did something evil. That something evil possessed me to think that this was the out. And I
Hmm.
swore to God that I actually said, if I am gonna live with this scar from attempting suicide, like if I'm gonna live with this facial feature for the rest of my life, then I deserve it for intervening in a plan that was greater than mine. That who did I think I was to be trying to interfere in God's plan for me? Who the hell did I think I was to like that my life belonged to me? Like I remember thinking all this shit in that one moment, and it was so crazy, you know. And and we went back to lay in the hospital bed, and across from me is this old man, like this old man, getting tubes stuck in his mouth so he could feed. And here I am, whatever, in my 20s, late 20s, whatever. Here I am, like fucking wanting to die, like, and it was just one of those moments where it was like, it was part of that experience, that healing journey where you just realize that your life doesn't belong to you. It belongs to it belongs to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And who was I to think I can interfere in his a plan greater than me? And it was the first realization that was the first like moment where I was like, okay, this is the first step.
Was Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's it's pretty fucking deep. Um, was this prior to prison or after prison?
This was prior. It was prior. I had built so much momentum. I was trying so hard to, they say you just want to outlive your past, right?
Hmm.
And I was trying to build so much momentum to go the other way, but shit was just it was too late. I had already been on probation multiple times. It's like it just everything. And then I got that third one. It was like, oh fuck this, dude. I can't do this anymore. And then and that's when I tried, but that's when
Yeah.
I attempted. But yeah,
Hmm. Do you feel like when you got out of the service, you lost a form of your identity? And was that part of you spiraling on top of everything, do you think?
oh yeah, I had everything, all the classic symptoms. that you I learned about. Like when I go back and look at it all now, right? Like, so you go, well, what was it? What was it? Well, I mean, it's exactly what they say it was. Your combat, you went to combat and had all this traumatic experience, and you went from conflict and more chaos and more
Hmm.
instability and more emotional instability and more insecurity and more fear, all that, and you're just like, and it just kept on, it built, um, and so, um, yeah, so yes, 100%. And when I got sent to prison, um, it was or before I got sent to prison, stupid me, I was like, I was at that personality where people wanted, they either, wanted to hang out with me or wanted, whatever. And when I was in county jail, you're in San Antonio, so like if you're in county jail, like you're running with somebody, you know what I mean? If you're in jail, you're gonna run with a group. You're gonna either you're running or you're on your own, and guess what happens, right? Like you're gonna and so they knew I was prior service. I was pretty big at the time, and and they asked me if I wanted to be part of the fama, as they say, and I was like I was a soldier, like I was like, yeah, thinking I knew exactly what the fuck I was doing. Like, do you know what you're getting ready to embark in, motherfucker? Like,
You know what gangs do, right? But go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I know now.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
initiation's fun.
yeah. So I got involved. Became affiliated in jail, and then that jacket followed me to TDCJ in Dominguez unit, and then then they moved me up the ladder, let's say, and in fact, I was a tank boss at county jail for a minute, which is kind of funny because I always believe that some of these motherfuckers in jail, like in prison, they're like, some of them are bank accountants, and you're like, how the fuck are you a tank boss in this bitch? Like, because
Money
that's
laundering.
but that's what happens, like it's just one of those things. You assume a role because people believe you're this person,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Shit.
it's true, man. Like, I don't know what's that movie. I don't know
Oh.
what that movie is, but guy goes trying to exact his revenge of his wife, and it's a movie. But he's this accountant, CPA, and he becomes this hardened criminal in there. And that's what happened. That's what kind of like I started going down that road, and and yeah. And let's see. Then I got sent to ADSEG, which is administrative segregation, for some fights I got into, and and guys were trying to OGs in prison, like, Rush, you don't belong here, man. Like, you're not that guy, you're not, you don't belong in here. And I was like, fuck
You're
this.
too pretty.
They were just like, fuck this. I was like, fuck this, man. I don't want nothing to do with outside anymore. I'm gonna lay in here. I'm gonna be in here the rest of my life. I don't want to deal with nobody's shit anymore. And that's the way it was. And I was one bad decision away from spending the rest of my life in prison. And yeah,
Wow. I wonder if you served time with my uncle. He was floating around those prisons at some point.
I went to 5 max prisons in 2 years that I was in, and and yeah, you talk about,
Yes.
yeah, it was one of those things where I learned, like, you know
Well, since you've been in the service and you've been in prison, I got to ask you this question.
yeah,
I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm really curious.
go ahead.
Remember the barracks? You have to stay in the barracks, cinder block walls. Feels like prison. How true is that?
Yeah. Well, it's worse than that. I mean, like, I did a I did 30 days in solitary confinement one
Oh,
time.
shit.
The day I got sentenced to prison, I beat some guy up in county, and then I got sentenced for 30 days in prison in
Nice.
solitary confinement. But you know what? Like, even that's like one of those moments where you hear the small still voice of Christ, and when a suicide attempt, and then when I was in that 30 days, it was like, dude, when they say Christ will find you in the darkest pits of hell, he found me in that cell, and I mean, like, that's the most alone time I've had with Jesus Christ, is in that solitary confinement. No phones, no TV, no clock, no windows, like, or maybe a little window like they have, like
Sounds like
that.
a barracks. I'm
Yeah,
just
like,
saying.
yeah, but
Just
it's
saying.
smaller. It's much smaller. Yeah, And but solitary confinement was one of those journeys. Um,
Damn.
People in the county were trying to intercede in my life. Priests would come talk to me. Uh, Social workers would like come talk to me because I had a network that was outside of in the free world that was trying to get people to come talk to me and make sure try to help change me, and he said you're going to go in this cell for 30 days, and it was 30 days before Easter, and he said you're going to go into your own personal tomb, and in that tomb, when the 30 days are up, you're going to leave all your pain behind, and um, you're gonna leave all your pain, and when that door opens up for you, it's going to be like the tomb of Christ, and you're going to be resurrected, and it sounded good. I mean, it was. I mean, yeah, I felt it. A prophetic. I spent so much time in the Word, but of course, when you were already affiliated with a gang, it took you, it followed you. So it came to me everywhere I went, and it was what it was.
Like a
But
damn herpy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So, real quick, so you did 30 days solitary confinement. What was your, whether it was in prison, when did you make that choice that you needed to do something different?
when I was in um, it was either Darrington or McConnell unit, and it was a max prison. Um, I had not been into a max prison, so like it was the first real time where I was like, I'm in hell right now. Like I'm in real hell because there was a guy with tattoo flames on his face and one freaking big old white boy that had the biggest swastika that you could fucking see on his body on his back, and like you are there, and I was big, but I was a little smaller than some of these guys, and but at the same time, um, it was there because I really felt like I was in hell. It was dark and green, and a light was flickering, just like it was, anything, every aesthetic in the movie that you could put. The light was flickering. There's ants on the floor, and and I remember screaming to the for the warden or the guard, hey, don't forget about me, because I was in transition to another one, and you're by yourself in that cell. But on the other side, there was a guy that was doing 99 years, and there was another guy on the left side doing 60. The guy on the right side had been there since he was 18 years old.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, 18. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
18, and he was 35 when I was talking to him. And the other one was a drug, like a heroin smuggler, and he got 60 years for that, for drug smuggling. But this guy, I mean, that's when it started really hitting me that I don't belong in here. I got to figure out my way to fucking get out of here. But what happened was so I'm screaming for the thing, the guards, and I fall on my knees, and I just start crying. And I always say everyone's going to have that come to Jesus moment, but when you fall on your knees, and this is one of those fall on your knees to Jesus moment, right? Like, and I said, God, please, 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 like help me, help me, help me. And I swear. So on the outside of that, on the outside was like a plexiglass, because they don't have real glass in prison.
Mm.
They have plexiglass, and it was shattered because of the Texas heat had shattered it, right? It was a little light that was coming out of it, and I was in my cell, and it just like shot at me, and I was crying. I was like just broken, like completely broken. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I'm on the ground, and I'm crying, and then someone says, "Get all those letters out that your friends that wrote you while you've been incarcerated out, and read them." And these are my guys, like, because I was trying to will myself out of what I was in. I was in college at the time, and um and there were all these jokers that I hung out with, and they had written letters and say, "Don't drop the soap, Bubba's gonna get you," and like all these cracks. And I just start crying. Like I start crying, but this time laughing and crying. It was like this joy overcame me, and it was that one moment. That was that second moment that I felt. the presence of God in that moment where he turned my sorrow and my anguish into a moment of joy in this, even in this dark moment, in this dark space where I was in. A guy's doing 99 years, I mean, poor kid that shot a grocery clerk, or at a convenience store. And it's just like, fuck. I gave him all my shit when I left. I was like, when I left and transitioned out, I said, here, take my radio, take this, fuck y'all. I don't belong in here. But that's when I realized. But yeah, I guess I answered your question.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd
Yeah.
say so. How old were you when you got out of prison?
Shoot, I can't even remember.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I say 20. It was 2020. No, not 2020. It was 2000. So yeah, it was 2000 when I got out. So
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, the biggest part of that is like I had to go to a therapeutic community after that. And it was a 9 months still in house, 24 hours, but it was in a prison still. And that was a whole different experience because in the in the organized crime Bible, it says, do your program, run your program, and get the hell out because we need you out in the streets, right? But if you're like one of the guys, you're like, a carnal, as they say. And if you're a carnal, a brother, and like you're down and you're running a program and you run it a little too tight, like, you know, the program means that you're in a therapy community, run, doing the steps that you need to do to get out. But there's a way that you have to run the program. And so it's about accountability. And so using the therapeutic community to hold people accountable. And when you do that, it's a different thing. And yeah, I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I ran my program a little too hard because I got fucking serious. I like, fuck this. I'm gonna run this program just like it says. I'm gonna get the fuck out of this fucking place. And yeah, ultimately what ended up happening, a group of 5 guys, like on the last day that I was there, um they said, Rush, we need to come see you. You need to come see us. And they are like, we don't want you here again, man. You don't belong in here, bro. You don't belong in here. And so we're going to give you a little gift before you leave. And 5 guys beat the fuck out of me. They just like started, they call it a suburban. And that suburban is, they beat the shit out of you. Say, we're not going to hit you in the face. But if you fall to the ground, then you know what's going to happen. And they pulverized. I was black, like dark black when I got out of prison and out of that community too. And I swear to God, I would never let anybody fucking touch my body like that again.
So they jumped you to get you out of.
Like
So they, for people that don't know about gangs, I actually know a little bit because of where I grew up and how I grew up.
yeah,
You want in, you're gonna get jumped. You
yeah,
want out, you're gonna get jumped.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
you pick
Well,
your
they wanted to
battles.
tell me to get me in, but they were too fucking worried. They were too worried what was going to happen. So they did jump me in, but they did jump me out for
It
sure.
sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a
So
different.
what?
They were in prison.
Yeah, and so with that, it sounds like that side of the street's pretty cleaned up. Um, Ultimately, what made you choose to dive back into the veteran community now that are you born again, I'm guessing?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You found God and your higher power through all of that?
Do all that. Yeah, every single time. Yeah, he was there. Yep.
Yeah. And what was that? How did you get reconnected with all the veteran communities up here
Well,
and to what you're doing now? I'd like to get to that.
listen, I say it like this. Of course. So before I say that, I want to say this.
Sure.
See, all throughout that time, throughout that journey, I was being treated. I was being treated for the symptom, which was substance use disorder or substance abuse. Let's just say, right.
Yeah.
So I'm getting treated for that. In 2013, I have a real bad nasal infection, and I'm in California, and I went to the VA, never asked for any help at all. Excuse me. And instead of a nurse coming out, a psychologist came out and asked me if I had ever had a have ever been diagnosed with combat PTSD. And the minute she said that, like everything, my world fell apart. Like it was just like everything that all the things made sense. Everything made sense, and um, broke down. She's like, "We're gonna get you some help. We're gonna get you some help. We're gonna help you. We're gonna help you." And so I started treatment for that. Unfortunately, once you start treatment, I had already had, like you said, collateral damage, and in the past, so I had carried all that with me in
Mm-hmm.
2013, right? Remember, so I carried it for so long, all these walls, all these fucking defense mechanisms, all this shit I carried, and um, and and didn't let nobody in. But when I started treatment, of course, I started having to relive all that shit again, and then I ended up living out of my car and just locked in. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you've done it before. Yeah.
I'm staring right at me. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. That's the way it works, right? Like, so
Jeez.
check it out. So I started getting treatment. And then in 2014, I was like, I want to, you do a lot of introspection along the way during the substance stuff. You do your in personal inventories, and you do
Mm.
your defects of character, and you have a list of amends you need to make and all that shit. But for me, I was like, I got to get out of my fucking old skin. I just spent the last fucking 2 decades doing that shit, like, or what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I gotta figure it out. Like, I gotta sit with people, I gotta talk with people. And I want to start a magazine, but then the YouTube experience blew up. And then God just said, you're gonna go back to Texas, you're gonna go get you're gonna get a film degree, and you're gonna become a podcaster, and you're gonna shut up and listen. And 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 that's exactly what happened. He said, you're gonna meet your wife too. Sorry.
I
Um,
apologize.
but yeah, that was the big one.
What's hitting you?
But yeah,
Hang on, hang
so
on, hang on, hang on. Hang on. Sit in that for a second.
yeah,
Sitting. It's not going to tip you over. I'm just curious. What's hitting you right there? What's the good
no,
stuff you're feeling?
love, like that's a graduation in my life, like that's a, Christ saying you're gonna meet your wife is like, okay, come here, Gia. My dog feels it. She's come here, come. She feels me. She's over there, way over there. Come here.
Is she your service dog?
Yeah,
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. That's your service dog?
yeah, yeah. I wanted
Yo.
a Belgian Malinois, but my wife was like, "Fuck that! You're gonna
Yo, if
turn
you
that."
guys can see what I'm seeing, not what I thought we were
Yeah.
gonna.
Hey, trust me, my wife was like, "No, we're not getting that. You're gonna get a push on." I was like, "What the fuck is a push on?" So
It's like
yeah,
she's like
you
a
missed her
little
because I was at
pillow.
ATF, and she was at ATF. See, she's loving it. She felt it. She was like laying down. She started beeping.
That's
Okay,
okay.
so uh, so so um, I started doing podcasting, and she and what do you call it? And I got invited to do a Purple Heart social. They have socials for they had a social here in Frisco, and I asked if I actually God said you're going to go into this veteran space, and you're going to start using this platform. You're going to start doing this. It's going. You're going to get uncomfortable. You're gonna feel this shit, and you're gonna go through this, and one step at a time. I was obedient to Christ, and I was like, I'm gonna go where He told me to go. I'm not gonna question anything, and then I started building a relationship with the community, and started getting really serious about. And then obviously I'm at where I'm at now with that, and it's blown up more than I ever could imagine it was going to be at the time. But I didn't want to have nothing to do with it. You remember I told you I threw everything away and deleted all my pictures, and burned everything.
Oh yeah,
And
you said you threw away your medals, you threw away everything, huh?
yeah, yeah. And and when I once I started getting reconnected with my own service time, my own time in service, and I was like, okay, dude, like you have valor, you've earned, you've done this, man. This is that all that journey, all that shit you just went through. That's it right here. You know, that's your that was your sacrifice. That is your, you know, when I learned about what real sacrifice is when we do this stuff, you know, when we enlist and stuff, you don't, you're giving up time, you're giving up your family, you're giving up yourself, you're giving up future, you're giving a lot of shit up. You're
Hmm.
gonna have to endure a lot of shit. And so yeah, so that's how I, it's one step at a time. It started off with VFW Post 8273 in Frisco. Shout out to Sheena Lawless, who actually helped me get me my first, you know, help me. And when I called her, I said, I would like to sit down and do some interviews at your event. And didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But when I was done with that, I was so sick. Like I got sick because I had so much, all this, you know, just so much hurt that I didn't know was hurt at the time. And just, I felt so bad afterwards. You know, it was bad. But, you know, that's just part of, you know, some things, mindsets that you have to learn how to let go of.
Body keeps a score.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done that where I've sat in on a training and I physically got sick, just like out of nowhere. I'm like, what is this? It's hitting all my shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Wild.
Yeah. So, you know, like for me, the whole veteran space, the whole veteran advocacy has been a maturation, you know, to get to a place where I can honor, memorialize Memorial Day. You know,
Mm,
just this was a big step. This was a big thing for me and for my wife now. You know, who can now I'm part of, I'm an ambassador for Air Power Foundation, and you know, getting ready to, yeah, I have this big thing, a big announcement I want to make soon. I got invited to speak at a big event, and and yeah, and that's
mm,
where yeah. And it's been, and it's not just that, the other podcasts that I have, you know, it's called the Rush Outrospective, a Master in the Art of Living podcast. It's all about like getting outside of my own skin and learning about other people and how they've learned how to master their life, you know. And the reality is, if you want to know what I'm working on, just look at the names of my podcast. Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. That's what I'm doing, a new life mission. The Rush Outrospective, a Mastering the Art of Living podcast, and then Next Level Thinkers, a Charting New Horizons of Brilliance podcast. I have three different types of conversation with each individual, all different types of niche specific
mm.
things. But yeah, it's been one of those I say this, that I say it like this: God has already told me the last four chapters of my life. You know, it's like you're gonna have peace, joy, love, and happiness. Those are the last four chapters of your life, and I'm not asking you to go get them. I'm commanding you to live them. And he's saying you're gonna, those it, that's it. You're not. There's no negotiation. I don't give a care how shitty you feel. These are the four chapters. You already know what pain, suffering, sorrow, regret, shame, you know, the other, you know what I'm saying? You already know that. These are the last four you have to master, you know? So
Mm.
it's an exciting time to be alive. I always say I live in my life backwards, you know, like you know what I'm saying? Which I think if I had all that at that time, maybe all the accolades, all that, I wouldn't have been able to emotionally, I think even so, like I would have not been able to emotionally maturely handle it because I didn't have the coping mechanisms and the skills, the emotional guidance systems or the God guidance systems to help me navigate through that. I wasn't equipped with those tools.
I love that. I really do love that. Man, I'm staring at myself right now. I really truly am. And not to make it about me, but I'll make it about me for like a second.
Yeah.
Um, oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
It is about
Goldfish brain, I swear. Huh?
it is about you. It's about us, right?
It's
It's
a
about you.
it's a it's about us. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Hey, keep me in mind if you need speakers. I'm
Yeah.
dead
Okay.
serious. But honestly, man, pe- I can understand when people are like, I don't want to be a part of any veteran organizations. I've been burned. I've been this. I've been that. I've had a therapist and it didn't work out. Fuck therapy. Dude, this is like when they say it's a journey, it truly is. And if you keep oiling keep nurturing that or keep watering, the seeds, like you will find your groove. Stella will get her groove back at some point. I promise you. But what I was gonna say is, had I taken myself out in 2013 when I wanted to, I would have missed all this.
Yeah.
I sit back and reflect. I wouldn't have. I was homeless there for a little bit. I wouldn't have my house. I wouldn't have people like you in my life. I wouldn't have the craziness that I love in my life. I wouldn't have. I just would not have all these amazing things that I fought my ass off for had I taken myself out.
Mm.
And I hold on to that even on the darkest days. And truthfully, I just had a therapy session before I got on with you.
Mm.
I do EMDR. I have childhood trauma, military trauma. My therapist is like, you need at least 8 months of EMDR, 8 months to a year.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, I get it. But man, when you can find a community, a tribe, organizations that are trustworthy, because I've been a part of some that are not, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, find your
100%.
tribe and hang on.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so glad you're a part of our tribe. You're here with us. We're a bunch of misfits that love doing life hard and fun and, without regrets.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like honestly, you're right about like the organizations. Like I have not like I have been like, there are people that treat organizations that violate people's privacy. Like
mhm,
just because you're a leader, a president of an organization doesn't give you the right to talk about someone's their military records, if especially if they're entrusting you with their stuff, right? Like if they're saying, hey, here's I want to be part of this organization, and then you go and violate this person's trust by talking about what they have on their service records, or
mhm,
the service records, and then you twist that up. It's just ridiculous. and
mhm.
and 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 but Air Power Foundation, I swear by them. They were the most welcoming, purest, soul giving organizations. I would not be a part of them if they weren't. It's the only organization I've been a part of that's through and through a veteran advocacy organization. And I say that story not because that necessarily happened to me, but I've had it happen to somebody who lost both of his legs in a parajump accident, and I had the president start bagging on saying that he didn't lose his legs on that accident,
A
and
different organization?
a different
Yeah.
organization, not a whole different
Yeah.
organization about a different person. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing talking about this guy like this? What are you doing? Do you have his medical records? If you do, it's illegal. And just because you have the right to, you need this for him to be a part of it, doesn't mean you can go sift around and mess around with it. And this guy, he literally did lose his legs in parajump accident. I've seen the pictures. I've seen when he had his legs when he was in the army. He was in two military. He was in the Navy and the Army. Like, yeah, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, don't ever call me and talk to me about another veteran again. And that's what we have a problem, and we've had problems with too, is veterans talking about other veterans, trying to discount their service time. It's like, and while that person, the person who's doing the talking, don't have any medals. He's never been to war. It's
Who
like,
gives a shit? Who
oh
gives a
yeah,
shit?
why?
You
Like
know what
what's
that reminds me of? Real quick before we jump off, that reminds me of when David talks about at ATF. He's like, look, your trauma is different from mine, is different from theirs, is different from that. Stop comparing because then it becomes a trauma Olympics.
yeah, for sure.
What, like, seriously, just because Travis, got blown up, he lost both his legs, doesn't mean that what you've been through or what I've been through is any less. Because pain and all that shit is still very much the same. The physicality of it, yes, it's different. The situation, the story, absolutely different. Pain, hurt, sadness, those feelings are very much the same. And at the end of the day, if we stop comparing our shit, we might be a little bit better of a community for each other. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So,
It's such a blessing um, to be part of the veteran space and be part of the the adaptive training foundation space, because now I had Dr. David Hausman on my
mhm.
podcast, and we talked about and what it takes to get care for amputees.
Dude, it's a mess. If you're not a veteran, it is an absolute mess for civilians.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now I can invite, I'm gonna have Michelle Salt on the podcast soon. We've already talked about getting her on. And so, now I can expand my reach, in that space and talk about the obstacles they face it, but also their story of inspiration and so yeah, I mean,
I love it, dude. I love it. You're doing prime example of taking pain and turning it into purpose. And I'm here for it. And I love that.
I love it too. Yeah. It's like we're both in a mirror to our own stories. I mean, when we first met, I said, dude, we got so much in, I can't believe how much we got in,
You don't
we're,
even know. You don't
you might
even
be my
know my
sister and I
story.
don't know it, like,
God, I hope not. But then again, my dad did start getting people pregnant when he was 14, so then I don't fucking know. That's another story. Bio dad, sperm donor, whatever you want to call him. So who knows? We might be related. Who the fuck knows? Oh my God. Hey, well, thank you so much for being on today. This was a pretty awesome freaking interview. I love it. Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. No, again, Pam, like I can tell you, like, the people that are in your foxhole, the people that are
Yeah,
in, when you're struggling, when you're in that moment of questioning your own, like, what do I do next? Uh, those are the people that are the real ones. They're the ones that, like you, when you were with me during my own like moments, in the moments of being in ATF, like the people that are in your foxhole literally like watching over you and caring for you is so important. And we're going to be friends for life, and
I believe it.
brothers and sisters, and and I'm so thankful for you to invite me on the podcast. um, there's so much more, that we can talk about, and of course I want to extend the same offer you. I believe in reciprocity. That if you gave me a moment, you gave me your ear, you asked me questions, you got to understand me a little bit better, and I would love the same opportunity for you to sit right here next to me, and we'll share in a space, and you can even little Gia.
I would love the opportunity. That would mean the world. Thank you for that.
um,
Especially this little Gia dog, y'all. This little pup is, oh my gosh. She's the best. She's so tiny.
yeah, she's been you know for someone who wasn't. It's just funny because before this I was like jacked, and when I first got her, she was like just so small. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with this dog. I don't break her. She broke me.
She broke you. She's so cute. But yeah, I'd love the opportunity and yeah, let's make it happen. It'd be fun. Be real fun. Well, hang on for a moment. I'm going to say peace out to my listeners. But thank you again. Oh, real quick, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
You want to connect with me, you can go to primepitchpodcastnetwork.com. No, not Prime Pitch, no, primepitchpodcast.com. That's my website. And of course, if you want to look up if you want to join me on Instagram, it's official rush 5.0. And yeah, you can find me in those places and many other places. If you look up Eric Christopher Rush, you'll find some of my music that I've created on Spotify, and yeah, and I think you would really enjoy some of the music too.
Oh, shoot. I didn't even know that. All right. We're going to have to chit chat here when I get off of them. I got some more questions, but not for this podcast.
Yeah,
I appreciate you so much.
you, Pam.
All right, guys. Well, there you had it. Eric Rush. Go give him a shout out. Go follow him. Go check him out. He's doing big things in the community. And you guys get ready because I'm going to try to get a really cool guest on. So stand by for that. Stay tuned for that. And we'll see you later. Peace. I love it.
What do you
Stop.
think?